Hello and welcome to episode 282 of the 77 Club. Harry, start with the socials.
Oh, socials. The Wall 77 Club on Facebook and Instagram, at 77 Club Podcast on Twitter. I don't think anyone gives a crap what our socials are today, I'll be honest. There's a lot more to talk about, but yes, they are the socials. You want to follow us and get all the news on Gary O'Neill.
Jack Williams is here.
Yeah, hello everybody.
Right, okay, so everybody listening live, this is how it's going to work. And if you're listening to the podcast, we're going to talk about Bournemouth, we're going to talk about Everton, we're going to go on to Gary O'Neill, we're going to talk about Lopetegui, West Ham, and then goal of the month, and manager of the month. So we're going to try and end on a positive. Harry, let's start with Bournemouth. We were all on a little bit of a high post Fulham, thinking, have we turned a corner? Is it papering over the cracks? Turned out it was papering over the cracks because Justin Kluivert became the first player in 67 years to score a hat-trick of penalties in an English top-flight game as his treble saw off Wolves and piled pressure on Gary O'Neill. Eva Nielsen became the first ever player in Premier League history to win 3 spot kicks. I mean, where do we start?
I completely forgot about that stat about the penalties because of all the madness of the last few days.
Yeah.
I just can't believe when we last did the podcast, we were all buzzing. You were shaking Cunha's hand. Mm-hmm. We were loving life. And then a week later, we're down in the dooms of hell, aren't we? And look, we all wanted him to start the same team against Bournemouth. And he did. In hindsight, it was the wrong decision. After 15 minutes when we were 3-1 down, why you don't change straight away, I don't know.
Knew,
yeah. He didn't react till half time.
No.
And it was back to the classic O'Neill. It was those four unbeaten games, the 2 wins and the 2 draws. I said I think there was a lot of luck involved. Yes, giving credit for Fulham, but I definitely think there was a lot of luck involved. And back to reality, conceded goals for fun. The Bournemouth game was horrendous. Sarr jumping in the crowd, fighting with fans, mistakes all over the place, even Dawson making mistakes. And it's been the story of our season. Decent going forward. Well, not against Everton, but against Bournemouth, decent going forward. But individual errors and sloppy mistakes and a team that look like they've only just met each other before they turn up defensively. And that's it. Like, we just give away 3 penalties. Their goal from open play was good, but it was horrendous and toxic. And I'm glad I didn't go. I watched it on a stream. I didn't actually go to it. But yeah. Just back to reality after the good Fulham performance, and I didn't predict this. I thought after Fulham we'd have 2 good performances, but somehow Gary O'Neill managed to get us back to playing like little schoolboys.
Jack, it was a team that formation, whatever you like to call it, that he sort of fell upon against Fulham, and it worked, as Harry's just said. It didn't against Bournemouth. Totti, why is he doing that in the box that early on in the game, giving away a penalty? I think all of the penalties are penalties for what it's worth.
Yeah, I agree. You can't really argue with any of them. And giving away a penalty that early just sets the tone, really, doesn't it? And it plays into Bournemouth's hands and, makes that sort of end-to-end game. But the problem is, I think, because I was the same. Like after Fulham, I thought this is brilliant. This is the turning point now. I think I said on this podcast last week, I was looking at the fixtures in December and just thinking, we're going to go on a bit of a run here. I think we'll go unbeaten until Christmas. I was kind of genuinely thinking that something good was going to happen. And, how wrong was I? Because it was just I think it was just a fluke and we just gone back to exactly where we were. And the reason for that is, I wanted the same team because it was so good at Fulham. We all said that. And in hindsight, I agree with Harry. We got it completely wrong. However, O'Neill just set up in exactly the same way and didn't just seem to take account of how Bournemouth play. Everyone's seen Bournemouth like this season so far, and they've got some good results against big teams because of how high they press and how quickly. And it just seemed like that was a complete surprise to us. And if you're in that situation where you're shocked that you're pressing against a team which likes to press and likes to win possession back high up the pitch, and that's a surprise to you, you're on the back foot already. And it's kind of like the mistakes came, which, giving away 3 penalties in one game at any level of football is a joke. It's ridiculous, isn't it? It is just stupid. You can maybe forgive the first one. The other 2 are just it's just Sunday league football, and it's just ridiculous. So you're never going to win a game of football or get anything from a game of football in the Premier League if you give away 3 penalties. It's just stupid. And it was genuinely like we just didn't know what to do, and didn't know what to do. The players didn't know what to do. O'Neill didn't know what to do. We were just shocked and surprised. And then even then, when you kind of like get yourself back into it and get a sniff, you just fall apart straight away. And that was a theme that we saw again, really, just on with the game last night. So it takes some doing to be that bad consistently twice in a week. It really just takes some doing to shift 8 goals against Bournemouth and Everton. And that's the concern, isn't the problem is we have some good spells. We've seen it all season. We have good spells. We have good passing. But all a team has to do against us is just attack or press us or put one good ball into the box and it's a goal. Whereas us, it takes half an hour of really good football to actually get half a decent shot away. So it's just a shambles at the moment. Like I probably stayed on the Gary O'Neill should stay for a bit longer train longer than most people did, particularly a lot of people who listen to this and into the comments. But the way we're shipping goals, if we don't change it, we are going down. And it needs just some fresh ideas, some fresh life to be injected into this team because there's some talent there. Because at the moment there's no self-belief, there's no confidence, and there's just no ability really on show because of the way it's been set up. It's just we're just reacting to stuff far too late into games, and just seems like we're not doing any homework. So it's his time's up for me.
Harry, I think confidence is built up from the back. Obviously, I want to talk about Jose Sarr and your thoughts. Obviously, you mentioned the altercation with the fan. And obviously, when he gave away the penalty, when he wasn't looking around, he wasn't checking his surroundings, you knew as soon as he kicked him that he'd done it wrong. Head went down, obviously, straight away. I know we were sort of on a little bit of a high last week after Fulham. I mean, I haven't been Sarr's biggest fan this season, but when you spend 10 million quid on a goalkeeper, in Sam Johnston, you think, what does it take to start him? You obviously see something in Jose Sarr, but I think he just really did drop a bollock on this one, didn't he?
Yeah, and as we know, Sarr's had his howlers in him all year, and they started to go away from him using his feet. Like he started just booting it away, didn't he? But against Bournemouth, even though they were pressing us high, like Jack mentioned, he decided to want to try and pass it around again, and that's why he got caught out for the one he was at fault for. But don't really blame for the Dawson one, to be honest. I think that was a terrible pass back. But the Johnson Sarr thing is just bizarre in itself. That's poor management again from O'Neill to give that the green light, to bring in a goalkeeper in Johnson who probably assumes he's going to be number one, plays a few games, and then just put Sarr straight back in a few games later. Poor management, because I think Johnson, it's no secret he's been unhappy. So there's just another element to what he's done wrong. And Sarr, like we've seen him screaming at the North Bank against Crystal Palace, telling them to F off, and then he's got into the crowd this time. I'm led to believe that they were being very personal, and like there were fans round, the fans that got ejected, who were glad they got ejected because they just went a bit too far. There's one. It's all right to be critical, but when you get personal, which probably bad for me to say because I do get personal sometimes when I'm angry, especially towards Gary O'Neill. But so with Sarr, just his head's been all over the place. We're going to get on to Everton. He looked completely off it for that game as well. And O'Neill has said he wants to stick by Sarr. But again, I think that's the wrong decision. And people probably split on that. But I think Johnson's probably should have come back in. Not that he's any better, but Sarr's form and his mistakes have just been so bad. And that Bournemouth game was actually laughable at times. He had such a mental performance from minute 1 to 90. So, yeah, just a crazy time to be a Wolves fan, to be honest.
Jack, let's have a look at Everton. Obviously, we were talking about goal difference last week and thinking that that's probably going to come into play. Obviously, losing the game against Bournemouth, another 2 goals to the negative side of where we should be. And you think, actually, we can leapfrog Everton here. Difficult away game, although we usually do well at Goodison Park. Obviously, the last time that Wolves will play there. Just what were your thoughts on the team to begin with? Because I was shocked, as for the reasons that Harry's just said, that Jose Sarr was starting anyway.
In terms of the outfield, I think everyone knew he had to change it around after the game on Saturday. So wasn't particularly, I was quite pleased when I saw Guedes starting. I think we've said a few times, you've been a fan of him, Harry, haven't you? That, probably knocking on the door for a start. So it's something a bit different. So I didn't mind that too much. I don't know what's going on with the keeper situation. I don't know if he's fallen out with Sam Johnson or something because of the fact that obviously Sarr's taken his place. But it just screams of a manager who doesn't know his best team really, and that's a worry to start with, isn't it? So I think it was a big show of faith in Jose Sarr after the after Sarr's performance on Saturday, and a show of faith which wasn't just didn't really reward anybody or anything, did it really? But it's just there's a few moments, particularly in that first 20 minutes, where we're doing all right, and you think, okay, we've had a few half chances and this sort of thing, and then up steps a bloody 45-year-old bloke and drills it past your wall that's not set up correctly, and then suddenly their tails are up, and VAR saved us as well from that goal that got ruled out for offside, the one in the first half. I mean, if that had gone against us, I'd have been fuming. I don't think it's offside any day of the week. I think it's a joke. So we were let off from that one as well, but it was just an absolute shambles again, wasn't it? Really, I don't know what to say. It's just embarrassing, I think, is probably the word. I was looking forward to watching the game, even though it's even though after Saturday I was looking forward to watching it, and after 20 minutes I'm like thinking, I can put I'm a Celebrity on at 9 o'clock now and numb the pain, and it's that's what it's done to you. But fair play to the fans that travelled last night, because a midweek in Liverpool is too much for me, and they sounded great, to be fair, and you could hear them on the telly, and it was quite funny how they were just singing songs about old Wolves players rather than anybody who's on the pitch now. But go on, I'll let you two say a bit more about that.
Well, Harry, Bueno came in, obviously a forced change with Doherty coming in for Semedo, who was suspended. Obviously, as Jack mentioned, Guedes as well. You think that's slightly more attacking team, slightly more assured, maybe working a little bit more on the break and stuff. But I thought Everton were just too physical, and just we were getting pushed off the ball or making silly mistakes, and it was the same old, same old.
Yeah, going into it, for a start, his pre-match press conference, he was going on about him not fearing losing his job. He's confident in his ability as a coach. So straight away, he put so much pressure on himself. And I'll be honest, I was quite confident going in. I thought we'd bounce back from Bournemouth. I did think we'd go to a back five. But the selection he made, Lemina right centre-back and Santi Bueno left centre-back, straight away, he looked so uncomfortable. I get not starting Toti Gomez after his mistake against Bournemouth, but the balance just wasn't there. Lemina looked very uncomfortable right centre-back as well. I know he's done well there sometimes, but he's got to identify it straight away. We started off the game really well. We could have been 2 or 3 up after the first 9 minutes if Strand Larsen would have had his shooting boots on and Cunha. But then once that free kick goes in, my word, we just fell apart. And that's what happens. Lemina's our captain. As soon as we go a goal down, his head drops every time and he starts whinging, and I think it just rubs off on the other players. Dawson looked like he'd never played football before, making mistake after mistake. Obviously ended up getting 2 own goals, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. They give up. I mean, I agree with Jack. The fans were outstanding. For a start, just going there on a Wednesday night, an ideal, but the songs, the Ebanks Blake songs, all the Dicko Afobe Sacco, Nuno Had a Dream. It was brilliant, and a lot of Everton fans have commented how good the away support is. So fair play to them, because in a night of misery, they were probably the only positive, because I thought they represented the club really well, the fans who travelled. But O'Neill was sat there looking at his iPad, and I will shove it up his ass one day if I ever see him with it, because it gets on my tits when he looks at that iPad with that other bloke. Because what are they doing? It's not going to do anything, is it? I think I've said before, they ain't got microchips in their head. You can't press a button and Dawson all of a sudden turn into, I don't know, bloody Maldini. It's just not going to happen, is it? And from start to finish, he had no clue what was going on. O'Neill, he thinks he's this tactical magician. He's not. He just throws them out there and hopes for the best and hardly reacts in game. Really disappointing Guedes. I agree with Jack. I'm glad he started. I've called for him to start, but he had a poor game. He did. But he just didn't take his chance, did he? And Andre all over the shop again. I thought he had a poor game against Bournemouth as well, which is unlike him. And I just don't like the fact that he will not drop Lemina. He'd rather put him centre half than drop him. It should have been Santi Bueno right centre back, Toti Gomez left centre back, Dawson in the middle. Yes, they're not playing very well, but that's the balance. But Doc did okay, considering he was a forced move. But I thought he did okay. Put a good ball
Cracking
in for
ball into
Larsen.
the box, and yeah, brilliant effort.
But an absolute nightmare night. One I didn't see coming, because Everton hadn't scored in 4 games before this. They had the ball in the net 6 times. I know we're bad, but it even shocked me, even with our low expectations. That result, and O'Neill with his comments pre and post match just shocked me.
Jack, do you think the fact, like Harry just mentioned, 6 times the ball's in the back of the net, I mean, arguably they should have all counted. It certainly should have been maybe 5, you would have thought. And do you think that's been the difference between O'Neill keeping his job today on the Thursday compared to getting actually sacked in the morning like the fans are singing?
I know it's bad, but I think there's probably a few others in this boat as well. But I was watching it and just thinking, oh, I hope it's 5, I hope it's 6 now. Because if we're going to lose, it needs to be a result that just completely puts the nail in the coffin. And to be honest, probably more in hope than expectation. I was expecting an announcement, if not last night, because I know they've got to get back, but like early this morning before the scheduled press conference that he had today. I'm shocked he's still in the job because he's clearly lost the fans. He didn't have the bottle to go over and applaud them or say anything to them, which is probably wise because he'd got absolute pelters. But I was one of these people who said, you have to judge him. You can't look too much at last season and this season because they don't run onto each other. And maybe I think I'm wrong because I think just looking at how many games we've won, Premier League games in the last, what's the stat? Has any of you got it?
Calendar year is what?
It's a shambles.
It's not more than 7.
So it's just not good enough. And the worrying thing about it is I think you get away with it a little bit at the start of the season against the better teams because we were playing well and having good spells, but we're shipping goals against lower bottom half opposition. And as soon as we go 1-0 down or something gets us set back, everything goes to shit. Everyone's head's gone and we don't know what to do. And that is a sign of he's lost the dressing room as well. He's lost the fans. He's lost the dressing room now, even though it looked after Fulham like he got it back. I don't know how he does it. It takes some doing to be like this up and down. But I don't know what to do really. But I think if he's still in a job, going into January, then we're going to go down. We're going to get relegated. The problem is, and I think the problem we're realising now is that we can't get a replacement in because 1, we ain't got any money to spend. 2, we ain't got any money to pay them. So straight away, anyone with a bit of calibre and interested. So I think that's coming into it as well. And then add on top of that, 3, the fact he's on a long deal and he's going to get a massive payout in it. So he'll be able to ride off into the sunset with all the money turkey teeth that he wants. So,
Harry, we've been talking a lot about when we lose and we think, the fans are starting to turn. Obviously, Brentford early this season was one of those times where we really did think it turned. I think last night was probably the first time where I've seen the players weren't with him.
Yeah, the full-time scenes, there's obviously been a lot of footage and they just didn't want to walk over, did they? And sometimes in the game, they'd just give up, hadn't they? I mentioned Lemina's head going down. Dawson like he gave up Aït-Nouri a few times when there was a big diagonal go out to him and he'd run out for a goal kick or something. He'd just walk back, didn't look bothered. That's very worrying. I agree, because like you said, at Fulham, they seem together, which you would after a 4-1 win. But Cunha as well, since he's had all the plaudits, Cunha, and we've been saying he's the next coming of, in the next Maradona or whatever we were praising him about, but he's been so poor the last 2 games. He's hardly had a touch. He's hardly been in the games. He's been trying to do it all himself and kept getting tackled. So that's another worry when your best player's starting to just completely switch off. It seems like it's. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in the dressing room because I can't work out if they have been with him or you know what I mean. You can't tell. They obviously see social media. They see O'Neill's interviews. He just don't seem like that much of a likeable bloke to me. I don't know him, obviously. This is just going off from his press conferences, and he's just very arrogant as well. He is arrogant. That's what rolled me up the most, his comments before the game. The comments before the game when he was saying that he don't fear at all he's going to lose his job. And he's even been saying it today in the presser that he's had today for the West Ham preview. And someone's put in the comments earlier, but you probably missed it now, but he's going to be in charge for West Ham. However, that's just because they had no plan and they're going to be looking over the next few days for who they're going to replace him with. Or they secretly want him to beat West Ham and keep him on again because they don't want to get rid of him and they don't want to spend the funds in getting rid of him. John Pearce has reported that funds don't matter. But they do shut up shop. They've become tight in their duck's ass, haven't they, with their funds, let's be honest. They're self-sustainable, sell to buy, and they don't want to pump any more money back in. So in an ideal world, they want Gary O'Neill to stay. He was the cheap option. They gave him a long-term deal and they want him to stay. But even they must know after seeing the reaction from that fans at the ground and the reaction online, he can't stick around much longer. I think everyone knows it now.
Let's have a look at the comments section. It's absolutely buzzing in there. Tim says, evening, Tim. We were absolutely woeful last night. We're not going to get Potter. We'd be lucky to get Rob Edwards right now. We've become a laughing stock. Deborah says West Ham will score a few on Monday. Then again, Bilston will score a few against this outfit. Kevin says, I've heard Wolves have asked Jesus if he wants the job. He's turned them down, saying even he can't save this lot. Lovely. Let's have a look. Sorry, further down. Some people in the comments are saying just what they envisage seeing Jeff Shee do is bring in Wayne Rooney with a backroom staff of Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard. Wouldn't put it past them. Cameron says Andre looked as if he was questioning his life choices after the game and listening to the fans. Do you reckon that's true, Harry?
Oh my God, did you see him? He looked like he was crying. Andre, to be fair, genuinely looked gutted. He genuinely looked like he'd just looking at the fans like he'd let them down. Yeah, just a thing I've got to say. The comments, you need to calm down because, as Gary O'Neill said in his press conference today, one win gets us out the relegation zone. What he don't realise is we've got to win 15-0. So if we win 15-0 Monday, we should get out the relegation zone and goal difference. So not to worry, one win and we're out of it.
I watched a few minutes of that press conference today, and I wish I hadn't because I only watched 5 minutes or so, and it wound me up. And the one journalist asked him, like, you know, how do you feel? Like you're hurting after these results? And he's like, oh, on a personal level, no, not really. Like I just feel bad for the fans. I'm like, well, you should be hurting. You should be emotionally involved in this. Like it's not just a big game. It's like it's people's lives, and you know it means more than that.
Jack, I don't like to get personal. I don't like to get personal because, like I said earlier, but he fucking loves himself. He fancies himself as the next Pep Guardiola. Let's be honest. I rate the fact he backed himself.
His record at the moment over the last 5 games is better than Pep's.
It is. So, but I rate the fact that he backs himself. But in this sort of situation, I think he's got to go away and think when he gets his new job. Think about what he's going to say in his press conferences because he just gets it all wrong. He has lately. It ain't so bad when you're winning, is it? You don't care what he says. When we go through these bad patches, my life, some of his comments, and while we're on it as well, while we're on the press conference, some of the media, especially the mainstream like TalkSport and Sky, even Express a Star, look, Liam Keane, whatever, Judah, shout out to them, they do a good job, but they're so scared, and I think they like him because he's like gives them a lot of access, but they're so scared to like ask him the hard questions and criticise him. He fronted up today. Don't get me wrong, he did front up today in the West Ham pre-presser, but they all lick his ass because he had that good spell and he went on Monday Night Football. And they're like, oh, has he been... I've seen Jackie Oatley on Twitter. She replied to someone saying, oh, but has he been given the tools? It's like, come on, man. When he's there to be criticised because he literally is tactically naive, in my opinion, especially in-game, you can say it.
Has he been given the tools to not let in 8 goals against Everton and Bournemouth? Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. That is not acceptable, is it? At any level. Has he been given the tools to finish top 4? No. Has he got enough talent there to not make us an embarrassment? We've let in the most goals in the league, a league that contains Southampton and Ipswich. Like by some distance. Like it is not sustainable. Like this calendar year has been absolutely dreadful. And unless we do something about it, we are going to get relegated. It is that simple. And now the question is like, who's got the bottle to pull the trigger? And the problem is I haven't got the confidence that Fosun have got it. So what are you going to do? Then it goes to the fans again. And remember, like we are paying the highest season ticket prices in history to watch this sack of shit. That is true, isn't it? And we can't sell out anymore because the prices, the match-to-match pricing is ridiculous. They put the tickets on sale half price for Bournemouth and still couldn't sell them all. And then to top it off this morning, after that absolute shambles last night, the first email I get in the morning in my inbox is 50% off shirts. Like, who wants to buy a shirt? Who wants to buy a shirt?
Buy a centre-back. Great point on the Monday Night Football thing, Harry, because it was against Bournemouth that he had that tactical masterclass and was in the Sky Studios with his touch screen and showing him how he absolutely bossed it and stuff. And obviously, you know, a week is a long time in football and different seasons as well.
Look, at the time, I loved that, by the way. We were all loving it at the time, weren't we? But that was in a
Yeah.
spell where we were doing well. And don't get me wrong, he mentioned himself in his post-match at Everton, Spurs away, Chelsea away, the Albion win. We've had good moments under him. We've had really good performances. Fulham a few weeks ago. But the sad reality is there's been a lot of games where because of him, we've lost. I stand by with the talent we've got in our squad, not at the back, but going forward, our options going forward, and our midfield options, we should comfortably be in mid-table. I don't care if we had hard fixtures at the beginning of the season. In years gone by, we've beat the big boys, and we haven't done it once this year. So it's on him now. It is on him. Credit where credit's due. He had a good spell up from November till February time last season. He was brilliant. After we beat Man City, he had a good run, but then it all fell apart. He blamed the injuries, and I think we all thought it was because of the injuries, which they did have a bit of a reason why it went so bad. But this season, apart from the Yerson Mosquera injury and the fact we didn't get another centre half in, it's all been on him with his bad decision making in lineups and tactically in games.
Yeah, you can't tell me that you can't get one, even maybe two centre-backs for the money that you pay for Johnston. Let's have a look at the comments. I'm trying to keep up with them. There's so many coming in. Bode says, if relegation is the price to pay for Fosun to sell up, I'd probably take that. 3 p.m. kickoffs, no VAR, Black Country Derby, cheaper season tickets. Might win some games. It's not bad at all. Fosun out. Lad Sutton says, evening people, dark times ahead, I'm afraid. All I've said for 3 years now is taking hold. We can't keep on doing this self-sustainability bullshit and hiring on the cheap head coaches. Still with these, says, make Dawson the manager. Yeah, I don't think Everton would appreciate that, but there you go. Dawson has not got any pace. You need to build your defensive players' strengths, but Gary O'Neill is clueless again, says Wolves Fee. Stephen says, love your terminology, Harry. O'Neill is a complete and utter numbskull. James says, we will get relegated. They will sell everyone. Cunha, Aït-Nouri, Gomez, Larson, then Fosun will take all that money, sell the club and leave us a championship team with no confidence. John says, I never want us to lose a game. Last night was Southampton syndrome for me. Again, we needed to lose to get him out. We'll see. The milkman is not taking Harry's advice. He's gone straight for the turkey tooth tosser. He says about Gary O'Neill. Do keep your comments coming in. Jack, you know, the fan base isn't happy, clearly. It was 50-50 split probably even a couple of weeks ago. Doesn't seem to be the case anymore. But let's have a look. What he did say in that press conference, I know we touched on it a little bit. He says the mentality won't change. What does he mean by that?
It means we're going to fall apart again, doesn't it? If nothing's going to change, the mentality of turn up as soon as something doesn't go your way, make a stupid mistake and lose 4-0. That's it, really. So that's what we can expect if the mentality's not going to change. And similar things again from his press conference. It was like, yeah, you know, I need to make sure that they're back ready again, you know, to go fight it. Like, well, where have they been the last 2 games? Like, it's just meaningless words at the moment. And I don't know, but at the moment, it's one of those weird situations, isn't it? So it's like Lopetegui versus Gary O'Neill.
It's a sack race, isn't it?
You know, it's like the worst Monday Night Football ever, isn't it?
Can I just say, since we've sacked that set piece coach, I think the set piece defending's got worse. I don't know how that's part of it. They blamed him. They blamed him for our bad set piece defending, and then look at us against Everton.
Here's a question.
Well,
Here's a question. When's the last time in the Premier League we scored a direct free kick?
Wow, good question.
Someone in the comments might know that, but it doesn't seem like a long time.
No.
One that springs to mind. I don't know who would.
No, we haven't scored one this season. I'm assuming like Neves must have scored one when he was here, the last one.
Can't be that Villa game, can it?
That's a good quiz question. We ain't got a quiz this week, but
no, someone in the comments might know, but I think it's been a while.
Even corners, we rarely score off corners, do we? When you think about it,
we don't score really, do we?
Well, no, we do. That's the thing. We've got a good scoring record.
Yeah, we don't score off set pieces, really, do we? At all? But we never seem to have really. So I can't remember.
But yeah, our goal scoring's been brilliant. I mean, obviously it wasn't against Everton. We didn't have our shooting boots on, but as we've said, I think we're joint. Before last night's round of fixtures, I think we were joint 6th with the most goals scored this season on 22.
Well, yeah, 22 goals scored.
Not the problem.
36 conceded in 14.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the sack race.
Sam, sorry. That's a good stat. This sums up O'Neill as well. In his whole tenure as Wolves manager, we've conceded 101 goals.
Ooh.
And I think we said the other week has he got one of the lowest win percentages of the Fosun era?
That's 50.
He's got a low win percentage than Bruno Lage.
52 games he's managed.
So it's 100 goals in 50 odd games. So it's 2 goals a game on average. That is shocking. That is really, really bad. Like that is relegation for them. And 100%. The only reason we aren't relegated already is the fact that the season gap came in between these 2 spells of, so the closed season came. Otherwise, we'd be just rock bottom of anything if the season had started with the calendar year. So what do we do? What do we do? Sacking O'Neill won't change anything. Matt, yeah, you're probably right, but what's better? To take a chance and see if something does work out, or just have more of the same crap every week with the fans off, on your back?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's that whole thing about doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome is insanity. But the sack race looks like this. Lopetegui is 4-6, so implied probability 60% to be sacked first. Gary O'Neill is in second place, 11-10, with a 9% possibility. Russell Martin at Southampton, 8-1, 11%. Sean Dyche, 20-1, and Eddie Howe, weirdly on there, 40-1, but low probability. If we look at the next Wolves manager, David Moyes is top of the picks there at 6-4. Conceição at 7-4, Graham Potter 2-1. If this happens, Steve Cooper 5-2. I think I just won't bother going again because I just won't be able to live with that. I mean, I know a lot of people in the comments are saying that David Moyes has said no. I saw a couple saying that Potter was interviewed maybe in October and turned it down. Looks like he could go to West Ham. I know that Golden Sullivan aren't very happy with him at the moment, but as it stands, he's set to take charge of the game against Wolves on Monday. It been in doubt after Leicester City beat them 3-1. Obviously, Ruud van Nistelrooy's first game. Talk about new manager bounce. What are your thoughts? Because I know we'd all love a Potter or a Moyes, but obviously what you said in the podcast so far doesn't really point to those. It looks like it could be a cheap option.
Yeah, well, the news coming out today, like you said, Potter was approached in October time. I think his concerns was he didn't think the squad was that good. I think that's what I read, which shocked me, to be honest. And obviously, he's still getting paid by Chelsea, so he's in no rush. Moyes, again, I think because of the self-sustained thing, he's been ruled out. I don't know if that's Wolves don't want him or he don't want to come to Wolves. Is it Conceição, is it old Porto manager? A lot of people really fancy him. Again, he would be someone I'm not too sure about, to be honest, but people seem to want him. I mean, when I say I'm not sure, I don't really know much about him. But obviously, he's got the Portuguese and Mendes links. And yeah, that's about it, really. Steve Cooper, no. I'm with you, Sam. For my life, please, no, not Steve Cooper. I just don't know what's going to happen. I think Potter, earlier today, I was led to believe that he will join West Ham, but it looks like we are going to see Lopetegui v O'Neill, as you said, which is just so funny, isn't it? I can't believe we didn't wake up this morning to see that tweet of the corner flag saying he's gone. And what surprised me even more is that Gary O'Neill revealed today, so at 1:15 on Thursday afternoon, Jeff Shee and Matt Hobbs hadn't even contacted him. So not only we don't know what they're doing behind the scenes, but they ain't even keeping him in the loop. He must be thinking, am I gone? Am I staying? And the fact that they haven't just rang him straight after the Everton game and gone, look, Gary, you're gone. Sorry, mate. Just shows how crap our club is run.
Neil says Cooper was contacted. Neil, I hope that's not true. Celtic Rager says we're going to end up with one of these: Neil Warnock, Big Sam, Harry Redknapp, or Roy Hodgson out of retirement, or Alan Pardew. I mean, those are the sort of names that we're used to hearing, even though if it was maybe 10, 11 years ago. Another one on the list, Jack, Rafa Benitez. But I mean, the same thing seems to be popping up in the comments at the moment, and it's the self-sustainability model that Wolves has that seems to be preventing managers from wanting to join because they want to have a war chest in January. They need to obviously do something to turn things around. I suppose we're not privy to what goes on behind closed doors. I mean, you wouldn't want to feed into the media that you're going to have a big war chest because obviously you're going to be spending more money in January as it is. And if you add in the fact that you've actually got some cash to spend, I suppose the price for everybody goes up again.
Yeah. it's just depressing, isn't it? Really. I think that. I mean, I didn't even realise Benitez was still in the game. To be honest, just going on that one. Where's he been managing? Not even sure. But the problem is with nobody wants a relegation on their CV, do they? So straight away, if they come in now, they're taking a risk, like Lopetegui did. When he came in to keep us up. But so fair play to him for that. And if on top of that, you're going into a place where you've got risk of getting a relegation on your CV, and they're saying there's no money now, there's going to be no money here, and we also want you to get European football. It's which they seem to still be deluded in their head. They're thinking every season we've got a chance of European football just because they say it. There was that video of them talking to Strand Larsen about it at the start of the season, wasn't there, where they were saying that to him, we're going to be pushing for Europe or some nonsense.
Yeah.
So I think there's just a little bit of delusion there. And what would you take the job? Coming to Wolves, it's high risk. You got no free reins to do what you want or bring your players in. And if you go down, we'll sack you. That's the offer on the table, isn't it? So the only way you're going to get someone out of that is by paying them a shitload of money.
That's exactly, yeah. Because Allardyce did it, didn't he? He didn't have a relegation on his CV, went to Albion, obviously got relegated. Did he do the same at Leeds? From memory, I think he, came in, took the payday, and went, see you later. Andy says no quality manager will come after the owners lied to Lopetegui to get him through the door. I think, Jeff Shee's way of working. Obviously, people talk, don't they, in football, Harry, and that probably hasn't helped at all.
Yeah, the Lopetegui one at the time. If you remember at the time, we all backed Lopetegui, didn't we? But then when he left, we kind of hated him. But look at him at West Ham. He hasn't done that well, has he? But I thought he did well with us. But yeah, the lying to Lopetegui or telling fibs and moving the goalpost is not a good look, is it, for top managers who are potentially going to try and get? Maybe that's put Potter off, maybe that's put Moyes off. But we've got so many people in the comments. What do people in the comments want? Like who? I know there's been 3 or 4 names mentioned, but apart from that, what are we going to do?
Talk about moving the goalpost, Harry. Maybe we should get Jeff Shee in to actually physically move the goalpost. Might have half a chance then.
Someone's put Lee Carsley, George E. Reynolds. That's a bit of a rogue shout. What's Southgate doing these days? He's on the beach in retirement.
That's it. Oh God, yeah, but you wouldn't. Yeah.
I saw Lampard's gone to Coventry, hasn't he?
Yeah.
We was always linked with Lampard. He's gone down to Coventry. I think that's probably what O'Neill needs to do if he leaves us, go down the leagues a bit. But I mean, Potter would be nice, wouldn't he? But Potter would be good for long term. I think Moyes would be good for short term. I think Moyes, in the way he likes to set up, probably would steady our ship a bit defensively. But Conceição, like I said, the Portuguese fellow, I'm not too sure about. No to Cooper. I just don't know who else is they going to be. Are they going to pluck a randomer we've never heard of out there? Give a young manager a chance? Is it Aberdeen manager? I don't know his name. That someone was saying as well. I don't envy Matt Hobbs. I guess it'll be mainly and Carrick. Daniel Hodge says. I don't know, but Matt Hobbs, he was the one who got Gary O'Neill in. The pressure's on him again now to interview managers. Our track record isn't the greatest, apart from Nuno. Really, is it? Let's be honest. I just don't know how this is going to go.
It's difficult, isn't it, Jack? Because the names just aren't there, and I don't think they're there for any club really in the Premier League. I still think it's obviously the best league in the world, but talking about who's going to replace, well, I don't think many people thought much about Slot, and obviously he's done very well coming in and replacing Klopp. You wouldn't touch Pep. Obviously, he's going through a rough patch at the moment. Ten Hag's available, but where do you go? I mean, to answer your question about Rafa Benitez. His last job was at Celta Vigo, joined in June 2023, 3-year deal, but was sacked after 5 wins from 28 matches. So, I mean, he'd fit in.
He'd fit in, yeah. He'd keep the run of form going, at least. Always a big risk when you get sort of a big name like that who'd be on high wages and have been out the game for a while. But, I mean, everyone's like asking the right questions. Who's available? Or where do we turn? But really, you look to the owners of a multi-million-pound football club from a billion-pound company to be able to have the contingency plans in place to plan for this. Yeah. So we don't know anything, but it's not our jobs to. They're the ones who have employed Gary O'Neill. They've kept him in this long. It's on them to sort this out, and they need to just sort it out straight away rather than burying their heads in the sand.
Another concern as well is, I know we've kind of gone over this, but a new manager looking at it, if they watch that Everton game, and even if they watch the Bournemouth game, you'd be looking at, even if you were David Moyes or someone who rates themselves at setting up teams strongly, our defenders, the way they're playing and the form they're in, you could have a magician set them up and he probably won't, get them, improve them to be better defensively because they're all out of form at the same time. I mean, Santi was good before he got missed out before the Fulham, didn't he? He was injured for Fulham, but before the international break, he was decent, Santi, wasn't he? Then he was horrendous against Everton. Dawson looked like his legs have gone overnight in the last 2 games. Looks like they've just completely gone. We know about how bad Toti Gomez was against Bournemouth. So all our centre-halves are out of form. So if a manager does come in, I think the biggest thing you've got to give them is confidence and a bit of belief back because they've shown they can perform when they're on it, all of them. But most of the players are shot of confidence, which we said will happen if you don't win in 9 games at the beginning of the season. But then we had a bit of belief back after that 4 unbeaten. So I don't know. It's going to be a manager that is willing to take a risk. Because someone like Gary O'Neill, when he came in, he was grateful to get the opportunity. We want someone when we got Lopetegui, who we really wanted, and someone we think is going to improve us. But I believe it'll be someone who will be desperate for the job and not someone we want in this situation we're in.
Chief says, how crap our defence is. Big Sam wouldn't be such a bad shout, to be fair. I mean, the name that keeps popping up, I don't know if people are being sarcastic, is Tony Pulis, but I just can't see that happening. Callum says, reckon Tony Pulis would sort the defence out. He might get a game, to be fair. Yeah, I just don't. I take the point he needs to go and it needs to be freshened up, but he's still going to have the same players. He's still going to have the same lack of centre-backs. He's still going to have the same goalkeepers that want to compete with each other, but going to fall out with the manager when they don't play. Jack, if you had to put your house on who was going to come in next, firstly, do you think he'll last until Monday against West Ham? And B, if he doesn't, who do you think will come in?
If you asked me, would he last on Monday this time yesterday, the answer would have been no. But now, given the fact he's done that press conference, yes, he will. What was the question? Who do I think is going to come in?
Yeah.
Terry Connor, probably. No idea. It's going to be one of them again. It's going to be a shambles. We've got away with it once under Lopetegui for getting out the shit, but someone has got to come and pull a rabbit out the hat. But Jose Sarr will probably drop it anyway. So,
and have a fight with it. Well, Harry, same questions to you.
Same question. Yeah, I think he will be in charge on Monday because they've already basically come out and said that, and obviously putting him in the presser backs that up. Who do I think will be in charge? My mind's flopped a few times today. I thought it'd be Potter. Then I didn't think it'd be Potter because the rumours are going to go to West Ham. But then I've seen West Ham are linked with other managers. So if I had to guess, I think it might be Potter. I think they might convince him. So if I had to guess, I think it'd be Graham Potter who takes over. I still would prefer Moyes, weirdly. I know that's a really controversial opinion, but I think Potter will probably get a tune out of some of our good players, though, won't he? Cunha and all that, and maybe get a tune out of Guedes. But yeah, I think it'll be Potter. And are we going to talk about the West Ham game? We're going to try and predict our lineup for O'Neill. O'Neill's last hurrah.
Just one final thing on that. I think if they could get Potter in, we know that Potter is a long-term appointment because he's a project manager. That's why he failed at Chelsea. He needed instant success. He was never going to deliver that. He had a bit of a glow up, and got a haircut, got his beard trimmed. I should go and do the same. But it takes long-term planning, which we've not seen from Fosun probably since Laurie Dalrymple was pulling the strings behind the scenes. I think it's always been very much, this looks quite easy. We've fallen on something that is, oh God, we've got straight into Europe. We've got the FA Cup semi-final. And it's been that downward trend, and that trend has not stopped. But only time will tell. Let's turn our attentions to the game against West Ham. Obviously, probably one of the players that's going to go start into your starting lineup, Harry, would be Cunha. He's up for, 3 of his goals are up for Goal of the Month, the Guinness Goal of the Month in the Premier League. He's the first player ever to have 3 goals in the same month. So out of the 8 goals, he has 3 of them. And obviously, Gary O'Neill is up for Manager of the Month. So we should be on a bounce, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know what you lot are all moaning about. We have got a candidate for Manager of the Month in charge, so I'm really confident going into this game. No, I think Cunha will start, obviously. I think Semedo will be straight back in, although Doc did well, as I mentioned earlier. Got to go with the 3 centre halves, haven't you? I think, but something tells me because it's his last game, and he'll probably think, sod it. He'll probably go for a back 4. and just go at them. I did see in some of his quotes, he did mention that he's tried everything. Did you see them quotes when he said, I've tried a 3 at the back, I've tried a 4, I've tried Guedes, I've tried Bellegarde. He went through it all, didn't he? Saying he's tried everyone, and basically he's run out of ideas. So I think because his whole objective this season in pre-season was to switch to the 4, he might just think, sod it. I know we're conceding a million goals, whatever we play. 4 at the back. Maybe put Lemina back into midfield, although I'm against that. I'd actually probably drop Lemina just to give him a bit of a break, but I don't think he will. He'll probably drop Andre because of that. So it'd be Andre and João Gomez in the middle, a 4-2-3-1. I think he'll bring his lover boy and teacher's pet Bellegarde back in because Guedes was poor against. This is what I think he would do. This is not what I want him to do, by the way. I'm just trying to predict what I think O'Neill will do. So I think he'll have Bellegarde on the right, Cunha in behind Strand Larsen. And out on the left, it's been Rodrigo Gomez, isn't it? He might give Forbes a run out, maybe. But although, again, just mentioning those names, he said in his press conference, Forbes, Rodrigo Gomez, and Pedro Lima, who obviously was on the bench against Everton, were just bit part players. He said they were never ones that I wanted to start, which is mad because Rodrigo Gomez was insane in pre-season. I'd love to see Pedro Lima get a start, by the way. Now I've just mentioned it. He's been fantastic when he has played. But yeah, Ait-Nouri left back. Centre half's an interesting one, but I think he'll go Toti Gomez and Santi Bueno because Dawson had an absolute nightmare.
I'll put Dawson up front. Great finisher.
Yeah, put Dawson up front. Everton's second highest goal scorer, isn't he, at the moment? And there we go. Semedo right back. And then Johnston in goal. I think he'll play Johnston in goal because Sarr is probably on the verge of having a mental breakdown with some of his performances. So that'll be mine. That's what I think he'll go for. And if it was me, I'd go 3 centre-halves, but that's what I think O'Neill will do. And Al Sakiko, innit? Lopetegui or O'Neill's last game.
Jack, what would your lineup be? I wonder if Mourinho will be in the crowd. Either of them, couldn't they?
What lineup I would like and what I think will happen are very different things, like Harry said, really. But I'd go with the 3 centre backs. I think when you're shipping goals like that, you've got to just at least bring your defenders in and players. With the most defensive formation you've got. So Semedo comes back in, 3 centre halves, and then it's difficult, really, isn't it? Going forwards. I think Lemina deserves to be dropped for some of his recent performances. But what?
Sorry, Jack. When he brought Hwang on, by the way, we completely forgot about that. When he brought Hwang Hee-Chan on, I just burst out laughing against Everton. That was his first sub, wasn't it? Hwang Hee-Chan. I thought, oh my God, not again. Well, we used to say this about Bruno Lage, didn't we? I think he's got naked pictures of Gary O'Neill, Hwang, because he always brings him on. Sorry, Jack, back to what you predicted.
No, it's not just going to say, I think if you're going to freshen it up, you should probably drop Lemina, but I don't think it's going to happen. So there you go. That's all I had to say, really. The rest of it, there's only really one space up to
grab. You think that's been one of the big issues? But the thing is, I really wanted Lemina to be captain. I did. And it hasn't worked, has it?
No,
it hasn't gone very well.
No.
We were all quite happy with it, though, weren't we?
Yeah.
We're happy with it, but obviously we don't know everything about how it works in the dressing room on the pitch. But in my opinion, you can't have your captain just playing every game because he's your captain or crying at the end of matches because it doesn't set a leader's example, does it? So that's why I think I don't think the pressure... You see it in sport all the time. Some people are great players and brilliant in good areas of sport, but they're not made to be captains. Cricket's a great example, and it's a lot more pressure.
Jack, I forgot about that. That he cried after Liverpool, wasn't it? When he cried after we lost to Liverpool. I think the only other option probably would have been Dawson, but maybe he had in his mind that he's at the end of his career, and he probably wouldn't start every game. Because if you remember, we started off the season with Yerson Mosquera and Toti Gomez as our first choice centre backs. Yeah. I think he wanted to go away from Dawson, but then quickly went back to him. But yeah, I think it's been so bizarre the way that it's gone for Lemina in his captaincy. And I've seen him come out saying that he pulled all the players for a meeting today to talk about what's going on. But he just seems like too much of an emotional character, which is crazy because with Kilman, we said he was too no personality at all, wasn't it? Everyone used to criticise Kilman for not talking enough on the pitch, for behind the scenes videos. He didn't really speak to everyone. But yeah, so poor choice in hindsight, Lemina as captain, and it's affected his performances. There's no doubt about it because he was fantastic last season, but the weight of the captaincy has really made him struggle this season, which is a shame because I do like him as a person and a player from what you see from the outside looking in. Be interesting to see what he picks though Monday. I don't know what he's going to do.
Let's do a score prediction, Jack.
I mean, I can't see us winning after what I've seen the last 2 games. You know how football changes and it's a strange game, but 2-0 West Ham.
It's a funny old game. Harry?
I don't know. It depends. The mentality of our players. Are they going to fight for the shirt even though they know O'Neill's going? Will some of them play knowing that the new manager's going to come in, so they want to impress him when he watches the tape back? West Ham are probably in a similar position with their players. They're at home, so you'd assume that their tails would be up a bit more than ours, a bit more pressure on them. So for that reason, I'm going to try and be optimistic and say we're going to get a 1-1 draw, which is mad to say because I can't see us only conceding 1 goal the way we're playing. But I'll be optimistic and say it's 1-1. But I do think they will pull out the corner flag tweets at full time, even if we do get a win. I will be back in my 4-1 still, by the way. The odds are
I am delirious. Yeah, I mean, it'll be 1-1 after about 3 minutes, Harry. So you might cash that one out. Stephen says West Ham 3, Wolves 0. Neil says 5-0 to... Well, he actually says 5-0 to Wolves. Neil, having seen your comments, I reckon you mean 5-0 to West Ham. Niall says 3-0 West Ham. God Struggler says 4-1 to West Ham. Robert says 1-1. 123 North Street says 2-0 to West Ham. Connor says 3-1 Wolves or 3-2 Wolves. God Struggler also says they murdered Leicester and are due a few goals.
Sam, just picking up on that, I did see a bit of that game, and that doesn't tell the whole story, Leicester winning that. Do you see as well, him again, that bloody journalist licking Lopetegui's ass on Twitter, wasn't he? What's he called again? I keep forgetting his name. People know I'm on about.
Guillem
Bernard.
What's his name? Yeah.
He's like literally Lopetegui's like lover, and he like the things he tweets out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point actually, because West Ham did have a lot of chances against Leicester, which is obviously not good for us. Just while we're on it as well, in the comments, Neil, where is he? Neil White. He always comments on our channel and on my personal channel. Gone out. I'm going to miss it, Neil. I'm going to miss the gone out comments. Every video, first comment without fail, Neil White, gone out. And about 5 minutes later, we can't keep gone. He's got to go. It's just hilarious. It's just funny. I think he does it on every channel, but I just found it hilarious. And Neil, I'm going to miss it. Maybe just keep doing it, Neil, even when he's long gone and Potter's in charge. Just keep commenting "gone out" on all the videos.
Goliath Small says 3-3. Well, I mean, we're not holding out much hope. Obviously, Harry's still going to go for 4-1. I'm wondering whether to end on a quiz just to cheer everybody up, because we seem so down in the dumps. And a name that's popped up and a quiz that I have ready to go on is Mick McCarthy. I do want to have a go at it.
He's got under the cosh.
4 questions. He was, and that looks really good. It must have been you, Harry, or Seb sent me the trailer for that one, and it looks to be an absolute cracker. So we'll see what happens. Let's do it. 4 questions each. Harry, we'll start with you. Where was Mick McCarthy born?
Oh, he played for Ireland, didn't he? Was it? But why have I got Barnsley in my head?
Do you want? I'll give you multiple choice if you want. But we've got Barnsley, Blackpool, Rotherham, or Doncaster.
I'll have to stick with Barnsley.
That is correct. 1-0 to Harry. Jack, during his senior playing career, Mick McCarthy made over 500 league appearances and 50 international appearances. For which Scottish club did he play for during this time? Was it Rangers, Celtic, Aberdeen, or Dundee?
I don't know. Aberdeen.
It's Celtic. You not know that?
Oh.
Yeah,
no.
Celtic.
Oh, it can't go on like this, can it?
It can.
It can.
Who did Mick McCarthy, Harry, take over from as manager of Wolves?
Glenn Hoddle?
It is Glenn Hoddle. Didn't even need the multiple choice. 2-0 to Harry. Can Jack pull it back round? How many seasons did it take for Mick McCarthy to get Wolves back into the Premier League, Jack? I'd give you a multiple choice, but it just sounds sarcastic because it's 1, 2, 3, or 4.
It was 2, wasn't it?
It was 3.
I forgot to say.
Oh, Harry, this is winning. Harry, under Mick McCarthy, how many seasons did Wolves survive in the Premier League?
Oh, we had a comfortable survive. We had a last-minute great escape, and then we went down. So was it 2? 2 survives?
It is 3.
Oh.
3
Did it?
seasons. Yeah, so promoted 2008, 2009, relegated 2011, 12.
Yeah, but he got sacked, didn't he?
During that season, yeah. Oh, fair. Yeah, full
We
season.
went down that season.
Yeah, good shout. Jack, what was Wolves' highest league finish in the Premier League under Mick McCarthy?
15th.
It is 15th out of nowhere.
I mean, that's the first season back, wasn't it?
Yeah. Harry, which player who would go on to score 64 goals in 193 appearances for Wolves did Mick McCarthy sign from Plymouth Argyle in
Ebanks Blake.
Ebanks Blake. We've got 10 questions, 5 each. Mick McCarthy was sacked by Wolves after an embarrassing 5-1 home defeat in February 2012. Against which club were Wolves playing that day?
West Bromwich Albion.
It was West Bromwich Albion. Harry, after being sacked by Wolves, which club did Mick McCarthy take over as manager of?
Was it Ipswich?
It was Ipswich. Oh.
Yeah.
Jack, just to round us up and to save a bit of face, Wolves won 104 games whilst Mick McCarthy was manager. Sorry.
Name them.
For how many games was he manager? 200, 204, 208, or 270?
Say them again, but slower.
Do you want me to say the whole question again?
No, just the
Okay.
the number
200.
total. Yeah.
204.
Yeah.
208 or 270?
208.
It's 270.
Oh.
So Harry wins that quiz. Excellent. Using our little Wolverhampton Wanderers quiz book for that one. Enjoyed that. Nice one to finish on. Hopefully enjoyed that in the comments section. It's been a hell of a ride. Thank you for all watching along. And if you're listening, obviously get in touch. Socials are at the beginning, even though Harry says you don't need to know them. But we will say goodbye to Harry Mansell, whose weekend is not going to be ruined by alcohol or football because he's got to wait till Monday night.
I was close to getting the beer out after that Everton game. Yes, thank you for watching and listening. I was going to say something, I completely forgot. Oh, yeah, it was nice to answer in the quiz questions instead of telling them. If that makes sense.
Well, don't worry. I'll do one next week. I'll make sure I'm geared up for that. It's a goodbye from Jack Williams, who's going for some reason on Monday.
Yeah, can't wait. We're looking forward to it.
Lovely.
Bye.
And it is a goodbye from me. Goodbye.